CCG Media presents High Tech Sunday. On today's episode of High Tech Sunday, our hosts, Dr. Mark Vaughn and Lango Deen, sit down with Information Systems Director of the CIO Office for General Dynamics Information Technology, Olie Burton, for a conversation on mastering the transition. Up first is Corning Incorporated's Manager of Technical Talent Pipelining, Dr. Mark Vaughn. Next is Career Communication Group's Senior Technology Editor, Lango Deen. Finally, our esteemed guest, Olie Burton. With 20 plus years of information technology industry experience, Burton is currently responsible for field service and IT service management operation. Burton served 10 years in the United States Air Force as a military training instructor and uses the experience to lead more than 120 employees and oversee a $15 million operating budget. Olie is an active Board of Trustee member at Mount Ennon Baptist Church and is a member of the NAACP. Burton's professional relationships extend from Axelos, HDI, and IT Service Management Forum. Burton is also a recipient of the 2021 BEYA STEM Conference Dr. John Slaughter Legacy Award. And, without further delay, High Tech Sunday, featuring Dr. Mark Vaughn and Lango Deen.
Thanks a lot, Brandon, and good afternoon again, everybody. So glad to have you with us for this edition of High Tech Sunday. And I'm excited because, among other things, our featured guest is a Black Engineer of the Year Award recipient for 2021. We'll talk about that as we go along. But for now, let's just check in. Hey there, Mr. Burton. How are you?
Good. How are you, sir?
Doing well, and it's certainly a pleasure to have you with us. Looking forward to having the conversation today as we look at transitions, going from military to industry in your case. But in order to tee things up, would really like to learn a little bit about your journey. So can you just give us the elevator pitch, if you will, and let us know how is it that you actually got connected to a STEM career in the first place?
Sure. I like to think of myself as definitely a God-fearing man. I feel very blessed. I am a family man. I was in the military, but I also grew up as a military child. So my dad, he spent 30 years in the military before he retired, and we moved every 2 to 3 years. So I eventually, like I said, I did follow in his footsteps. I was really a good student in school. I can say really a 4.0. So I did have aspirations to go to college. And I went for a semester, but I wasn't focused. Being very honest, I didn't focus like I should, and had a strong parental backing that I wasn't just going to be able to stay home and do anything, and that's what kind of really led me to the military to follow my father's footsteps. And with that direction, I didn't really get involved with technology from that standpoint. It was after I was medically retired, trying to find my next step in life, and sitting on the couch looking at TV, started seeing commercials, IT-related commercials with some of the trade schools. I told my wife I was going to give it a shot, went over to the trade school and jumped right in, went for 11 months and came out with a network engineering certificate and some of the passed many exams, and that was my start into STEM, and very happy where it has led me.
And we definitely are going to drill down a lot on some of those details that you just shared with us, but want to loop back to something that you said that I think is really notable. You said that you are a God-fearing man. And certainly on High Tech Sunday, we have had the opportunity to hear from people regarding their spirituality and how that has informed their journey. So, can you say a little bit about that, your faith, and how it speaks to your passion, your mission in life? What is it that motivates you every day?
Sure. And it may sound cliche, but I am passionate just being able to get up in the mornings, being able to see the daylight, knowing that I still have the Lord with me. He's given me another day. Being able to see my family. I have children who are all adults. They don't do the call thing. They're in the new world, so I'm able to text them each morning. That motivates me. Spiritually, I've had, like I said, my parents. I came up in the church. My dad is once he retired from the Air Force, he's a pastor of his own church now. Albeit it's in Ohio, I'm in Maryland, but I've had challenges, obstacles, some things that I had to get through, and to be able to get through them, I really relied on God, on that spirituality to be able to get through each challenge, each obstacle, to move to that next step has been very important to me, and plays an important part every day of my life.
When you think about how it is that you have been able to not necessarily roll with the punches, but you said you've been through some high times, some low times, all of us have, but your faith has really sustained you. And so as you've emerged on the other side, if you will, what would you say is your passion? What is your mission?
I'd say my mission is, I really feel, because of those things that I've gone through, I to be able to help others. I feel like I'm a good listener. I like helping children. I like helping young adults, being able to guide them, especially not only in the workplace but outside of the workplace. Help them get to that next step in life. I really believe that is that's my passion, and it's not just with my kids. It's helping others. So going beyond is where I like to be.
And when I hear you say that, I think about service. It clearly is something that matters to you, having had the time that you spent in the military. So this idea of duty and giving back, and then your spiritual side too, your upbringing in the church, and even now with your father being a pastor, it sounds like service is an area of gifting for you. And so, with that as the backdrop, I want to jump into this transition conversation. As I said, really excited and honored to have you with us today, as you are the recipient of the 2021 BEYA John Slaughter Legacy Award. Can you just take a few moments to talk to us about what that award means to you, and what was your experience with BEYA like this past year?
It was awesome. The award itself is awesome. The Dr. John Slaughter Legacy Award. It means a lot to me. I hadn't read a lot about Dr. Slaughter before, but as soon as I was nominated, I studied his history. Being part of, I work for GDIT, and he was part of the General Dynamics family. So I really feel honored with that piece of it. And BEYA itself, I am just overwhelmed being part of the conference, sitting in the award ceremony, listening and hearing about the great things that other Black engineers have done. Just blew my mind. I wasn't even, to be in that company with the awardees. It's just very special to me. Great feeling.
And it is certainly one that I'm sure you'll agree with will never be forgotten. It's something that just stays with you. It's transformational in that regard. So let's talk about what led you to the award, the path, if you will. Talk a little bit about your current job and all the cool stuff, the great work that you're doing at GDIT right now.
I'm currently a senior director with information systems. I have responsibility for our IT service management and our IT asset management and our field services technicians. So it's about 120 employees. We are involved in network upgrades, ensuring we are meeting all cyber security standards. Um, we've set up new service management tools within our system, ServiceNow. We get to set up portals. It's a lot of different things we get our hands on, receiving, imaging, deploying assets, both desktops, laptops, servers. So get to touch a lot of different technology points. Have a great team. I have a great management. Very happy to be part of my company, who is big on diversity and inclusivity. So very happy being part of the General Dynamics team.
And when you think about how it is that you have been able to establish yourself post military, say a little bit about the time that you were in the military. You're in the Air Force. I don't know, you can tell us if you had any inkling about IT then, but in general, what was your experience like in the Air Force, and how is it that you believe that that helped prepare you for your time now?
Sure. In the Air Force, I actually had two roles. One was being in transportation and working on passenger service, helping with airfare, air tickets for service members who were traveling. My second job, which was what I consider one of my most rewarding jobs that I've had in my life, I was a military training instructor, and that is the Air Force's version of a drill sergeant. And I spent 3 years performing that duty, and it was being able to see somebody come in raw, very fresh, really not knowing what they were getting to, and being able to mold and introduce them to the military over the next 6 weeks, and just watch somebody transform in such a short time and be able to move to that next step in their life, and also represent our country. I walked away feeling really good every time I was able to graduate someone, and that was usually 50 to 52 individuals at a time during that 6 week period. And I think that prepared me, really taught me discipline, which I really had from my parents as well, but focused, gave me confidence, courage, and it taught me to be a good listener as well. And really didn't touch on IT, but it really kind of set that cornerstone for that next chapter in my life.
Now, when you mentioned drill sergeant, I got images of Louis Gossett Jr. and Richard Gere, officer and a gentleman. So is that who Olie Burton was?
And very, very close at that time.
Oh, that's very cool. And like you said, though, it's got to be extremely rewarding to see the impact that you have. That you had on those recruits during those 6 weeks. It must feel kind of like a professor or a teacher or a coach when you see folks actually kind of cross over, and what you taught them actually stays with them throughout their career. So awesome to hear about that. When you are thinking about the training that you had when you decided that you were going to approach the trade schools at first, what was that like? And was it something that was a complete 180 compared to the training experiences that you had in the military?
The training, and I was actually had my wife and I. We had our son. He was newborn at the time, so probably around 6 months. And I spent um, go to work full time. Spent 2 nights, 6 to 10, 2 nights a week at the trade school, and then all day Saturday, and then each night in between. Because I was working, I had to put a lot of time. And I think that's something the military helped prepare me for as a training instructor. I was putting in a good 12 to 15 hours a day. And I was motivated because, like I said, it was a new chapter in my life and my family. My wife and my son were sacrificing their time with me, doing all the studying, learning something new. But just, I think, like I said, the military, I think, really helped me to prepare for that type of trade school and wanting to learn. And I know that chapter of the military was closed, so I had to hurry up and get to a new chapter to be able to provide for my family.
And so I understand from the pre session notes that you spent some time at the University of Maryland University College. Was that the trade school, or was this after and you got some additional training at UMUC?
This was immediately after the trade school, and this is where I really believe was one of the challenges and why that door was closed for the military. Uh, when I was in trade school, I did graduate successfully, but I still felt like I had a lot to learn, and I always had that will and want to get back to complete college. I didn't want to leave that book um, not finished, and I I was first turned down. I didn't have the financial backing to go to school on my own. Being out of the military very young, not getting paid quite enough. I went over to the Veterans Administration in D.C. My wife and I had a conversation with the person who was in charge of giving the financial backing. And I was retired for having asthma. Her daughter had asthma as well. So I feel like that was divine intervention. As soon as she heard my story, she put me in for the financial backing, paid the remaining 3 years of my schooling. Um, and that's how I got started at the University of Maryland University College.
That's a great testimony, and you just never know how God is working on your behalf when it seems as though you're going in one direction and He's already got it set up for you. I agree with you. He will intervene absolutely right on time. And so you get that additional experience at UMUC. You've gotten the training, you got the credentials. Now here's the transition from first from military to academia, and then into industry. What was that like, and was there any help that you got to make that transition successfully?
Initially, I will be very honest, it was difficult for me coming out of the military. Maybe if I had a different job in the military, but being that training instructor, I was probably too rigid and not flexible enough to kind of branch out, learn more, jump right in. I thought it all had to be one way straight and forward. So once I got past that, and I just so happened to get a gentleman who I was he was one above my supervisor or director at the time, took a liking to me, took me under his wing, um, started mentoring me. Um, he moved to another position, which was outside of our facility, asked me if I would tag along, take on a role, and mentored me for the next 3 years. And I think that's, like I said, that was another door I think that I know was opened by God. Had a great mentor, and I quickly found, regardless of race, color, creed, anybody can mentor you if you accept and you jump in there and show the will and want to take that next step in your life. And he did that for me. I was very thankful and still thankful to this day.
I think that's such a huge reminder that we've heard before on High Tech Sunday, but you can't hear it enough. And that is number one, it really is important to have a mentor. And number two, it's not always the case that you have the luxury of your mentors looking like you. And so but you can still have a successful relationship that is meaningful and beneficial. And I think that what you've proven is that there were some things that that person apparently was able to do. You used the expression, they took you under their wing. And I think that that really is the sign of someone who has your back, who has your interest, and not just trying to do a check off. You know, I'm mentoring 50 people this year. No, I'm mentoring Olie Burton, and this is how I think I can help him.
Exactly. And now that is something that I definitely try to do myself, because I feel if this was given to me, I need to be able to give myself to others, whether it's in work, outside of work, anyone that I can help. You know, I can definitely endure myself to do that.
Exactly. And now, so you said it was, I mean, I'm sure it wasn't funny to you at the time, but you can probably look back on it now with a little levity. You said you were kind of rigid there when you made your entry to industry. So, you know, so you had some adjusting to make, but there have to be some things that you learned, integrated while you were in the military that actually were a benefit to you when you went into industry. So what were those things? What did you take from the military that actually you were able to leverage positively in industry?
The first one and the biggest one, my wife might disagree with me, but listening. I think I really learned to apply listening skills in the military. And it is really something that has helped me in corporate, because I don't think any of us can know everything at every time. And the more you're apt to listen, whether it's to someone above you, your peers, or even someone who works for you, if you're listening, you can learn something. As long as your ears are open, you're capable of learning. The discipline I got in the military has helped me definitely in corporate as well. I kind of pride myself on being a hard worker, and I think that's derived from the discipline that the military definitely helped with. Can't think of anything else, Dr. Vaughn, right now.
That's okay. I think that you hit on two really critical ones, listening and discipline. I think that we all have encountered people who don't do either necessarily very well, and it can really have a negative impact on how your career trajectory actually plays out. Because it's really difficult for you if you come in to any situation not being willing to actually hear from others. Those inputs can actually become information that you need in order for you to chart that course. And the discipline, without it, forget it. People are always making transitions. We certainly know that the BEYA family, the CCG family, has a large military contingent. And so that transition from military to industry is happening. There might be people listening right now who are about to make that transition. But then there are transitions from academia to industry. There are transitions from different industry sectors. So what are the three main tips that you would give folks regarding how to successfully navigate that, whether it's from military to industry or from sector to sector, job experience to job experience? What are the things that you would kind of give as tips regarding doing it well?
I would say be open-minded. Don't close yourself to just one thing, one area. I think multiple companies and industry can offer you something that you can fit in. So I would say be open-minded. Just don't kind of close your mind and be set on one area. I would kind of bounce it off with also in that same breath being very flexible. If you're flexible, and that's kind of getting away from what I was being rigid, be more flexible, being able to kind of stretch yourself, and don't be scared.
Hmm.
You know, you're in one area, you could be there 5, 10, 20 years. Don't be scared to make that next move. That next move could be the best thing that could ever happen to you. That's the three that I would really throw out there: flexible, open-minded, and not being too scared or concerned to make that next move.
You said a mouthful there, brother. I'm telling you, that last one especially. Don't be scared. It's something, I encourage people. I didn't tell you this. When you mentioned that your father is a pastor, I am as well. And I tell people often when I'm counseling and coaching them, after we have prayed about it, we've sought God about it. Ultimately, if this is how God is leading you and you're scared, do it scared. Because God is going to have your back, even if you're feeling kind of uncertain about it. But that's easier said than done. And then being flexible and open-minded. So often, we've got the plan and we're not going to deviate from the plan no matter what, even
Right.
though it may be the case that it's God's plan for you to kind of go this way. You had it all planned out, but you forgot to check in with Him to see if it was, aligned with His plan. And so that flexibility and open-mindedness is key. But doing it scared, oh my goodness, that was worth the price of admission to this high tech Sunday right there. So now you are settled in. You are an executive at GDIT. You are leading a lot of people. How do you do that? What are some guidelines or some tips that you could give us around that? How do you effectively lead others?
I go back to the listening. I am a very open door type person. Um, you can get a hold of me at any time, um, any hour. I'm willing to listen. I also show, I believe I show, and I think this comes back from the mentoring that I've had, that I want to see everyone grow. And if you don't want to grow, that's fine too. I don't want to press you there. If you have the ability to grow, I want to help you get there. And I also think to be at that level, you have to be able to delegate. You have to have people you trust and who trust you. Because if you can't trust them or they can't trust you, you're not going to be a good team. And I feel like I've got good managers under me who can, without me asking every minute, every question, you can depend on them to do the job, and they can depend on me to take care of them and take care of our roles and responsibilities.
And so I heard you say, listen, you got to be a good listener. I heard you say that you've got to be willing to delegate. That hits me where I live because I don't do that very well. And you said that you've got to be willing to trust and be trusted. Can you tell us how it is that you develop that trust in these work relationships that allow you to be comfortable delegating? Because at the end of the day, it's your name that's on the line.
I try and spend very quality time with my direct reports. I think it's all about quality, and not only quality with them, but my own management spends quality time with me. And if you've got good management above you, you should be able to share those same experiences with the folks that work for you. And I think that quality, that really showing that you care, and I think this is really what comes back with my Christianity, is that I feel like I have that heart that I can really show you that I do care for you, not just in the workplace, but as an individual. And I think that's how I lead to gaining that trust. And it's really where I want to be. It's not always just about work. If you're having, something in life you want to talk about, I want to be there. And I can trust you, you can trust me. And that's very important to me.
Awesome. And I think that we lose that sometimes. You said that it's not always just about the work. And when we are able, I think, to focus on those things that are impacting how we show up at work, it really will help us to do the work even better. And so thank you for sharing those insights. Got one more question for you before I hand it off to my co-host, Lango Deen. Let's say I am younger, new in my career, and I have aspirations to move into management at some point. So I'm going to be leading other people. What would you say I need to think about doing early in my career to help me be ready for making that move?
I really think you should find someone that you can connect with, that is at that level that you want to be at. Look to them as a mentor. Try and squeeze everything you can out of them. Not everything will fit you. That comes back to that open-minded, but what they can share, what they can give you, hold on to, listen, and run with it. And if there's any managerial courses, curriculum that they can guide you toward, kind of lean in and take advantage of what they're offering, take advantage of those courses. And it goes back to, don't have that fear, because you can be successful. But there's always somebody that's willing to help you. And if you can find that right person, hold on and enjoy that time.
And so I know I said that was my last question, but so this is part two of my last question. When you talked about that gentleman who became your mentor, were you looking for him, or did he seek you out? How is it that those relationships get started?
I would say I eventually was seeking him out, and that was because I was looking for a new role. I was trying to grow myself, and I think immediately when he saw that I was looking to grow and not concerned about the financials at the time, just wanting to grow, he latched onto me as well. And we made a good partnership. And he shared all the knowledge that he had that he could share with me. And I just sucked it up like a sponge. I showed that I was very interested. But I've been part of both, though. I've been also in my role now where some employees have reached out to me for a mentorship, and I provide it. But I've also seeked out employees who I could tell want to grow, just don't know how to ask or what to do next. So I think it works both ways. You can have someone seek you out, and you can definitely have management who is looking to seek out those employees who are just not knowing how to get to that right person.
Again, I really appreciate that insight, but there's something I think that I often talk about headlines that I take away as our guests are speaking. And you said something that I don't think that, again, we really do pay as much attention to sometimes as we should. You said that the mentor relationship is a partnership. It is not all my interpretation of what you said. It's not me just taking from the mentor, but I am also, in some regard, being a benefit to him or her as well. And again, not in the means of helping them make a name for themselves, but in the process of me actually receiving and implementing the wisdom that they are imparting, I am showing up and meeting them as well as they are showing up to impart to me. So I think that that is rich. That we have to think of it as a two-way partnership when we are endeavoring to engage in that mentor relationship.
Yes, agree totally. Definitely a partnership. It doesn't, to me, it doesn't work if it's not, if you're both not giving equally.
Love that, and I'm also loving the opportunity to hear more. So I'm going to pass it over to Lango Deen, our co-host, and she's going to take us into the next segment. How you doing, Lango?
Very well, thank you, Dr. Vaughn. How about you?
I'm doing great.
You're listening to High Tech Sunday, featuring Dr. Mark Vaughn, Lango Deen, and our special guest, 2021 BEYA STEM Conference Dr. John Slaughter Legacy Award winner, Information Systems Director of the CIO Office for General Dynamics Information Technology, Olie Burton. Registration for the 2021 Women of Color STEM Conference is now open. Stay tuned for a message from our sponsor. Running from October 7th through the 9th, 2021, don't miss out on the upcoming Women of Color STEM Conference. Since 1995, the Women of Color STEM Conference has been the premier forum of choice for recognizing the significant contributions by women in STEM fields. General registration opens on April 30th, 2021. Don't miss out on the opportunity to meet and learn from executives who are committed to the advancement of women in the workplace. Again, general registration opens on April 30th, 2021. We hope to see you there. Please visit www.womenofcolor.net for more information. Again, registration for the 2021 Women of Color STEM Conference is now open. So visit www.womenofcolor.net for more information. Now, back to the show.
Wonderful. It's a pleasure to have you here, Mr. Olie Burton. As I listened to your conversation, the conversation between you and Dr. Vaughn, I kind of zeroed in on a couple of things you said, and one of them was the IT commercials by trade schools that are on television, and they're still on television, those advertisements. And as you mentioned, in the new world, they're now part of what we call blue collar STEM, and that's just a term for getting training for anything that requires technical skills, problem solving, or specialized training. So you've been in the IT world now for many years. You're at an executive level. What skills should a young high schooler? Many of them are not thinking of going to college or two-year college or whatever have you. What skills should a young high schooler focus on right now? Because they have to do something. School is over, high school is over, you have to do something. So what skills should they focus on? What skills should they aim to strengthen if they want to pursue a career, any career, and particularly a career in IT?
Thank you, Lango, for the question. But I really think, if I look at it from an IT perspective, there's so many disciplines within IT, and if you're young, kind of dabble your hands into quite a few of them. Don't just stay with one. You've got hardware, you've got software, applications, cyber, network. So I think kind of find where your niche is. Don't pigeonhole yourself, especially at such a young age. But I think no matter what the career is, and what's missed a lot in today's younger society is the soft skills. You've got to be able to communicate, and not so much with the texting and some of the other aspects that we can do now. You want to keep that because that is good in the workplace. But soft skills, being able to speak to someone, being able to hear someone, being able to listen, and being able to just communicate face to face, and in this day and age virtually. But the soft skills, I think, are going to play in it. Also, will play a very important factor in how you succeed in industry.
That's wonderful because a lot of young people, to borrow a term that you used, a lot of young people now have gotten to touch a lot of technology points from from the day they were born to to 18, 19. But it's those skills that you talk about, the listening, the discipline, and discipline is about being focused, being in a team, knowing how to work in a team. Is all of those things that you need at the beginning of your career and right through your career. A lot of people don't know what General Dynamics information technology is all about. So tell us a little bit about your company and about the programs that GDIT has or GD has for young people that helps set them up for success in IT or STEM. And also tell us about how folks can get involved.
Sure. We definitely information technology company that we have work with government contracts. So we're in the federal space, both defense and civilian contracts. We are Intel. We do a lot of software development. We do internal support, such as service desk, help desk, contact center type work. But we work with a lot of good technology, mission systems, airplanes, rockets, ships, work with the shipyard companies. So there's a lot of interesting technology that is really, I want to say, really dynamic. There's not one thing that you cannot do from an IT standpoint within General Dynamics. And I think a good start, especially for our college students, we have a very robust intern system. We actually have brought on our summer interns just earlier this month. And we're always looking for that next intern. We're looking to hire the interns upon graduation. It is a company that is very interested in a younger workforce. So plenty of opportunities within GDIT and within the General Dynamics family as a whole.
That's wonderful. So I know General Dynamics and General Dynamics IT work a lot with HBCUs, HSIs, and other minority institutions. Do they also work with community colleges and trade schools?
Absolutely, and it's a great question. I am actually speaking to one of our community colleges July 20th, and it's actually speaking to the teachers who are now going through a curriculum from an IT hardware standpoint. They're looking at the first certification, of A+ certification, that they can bring back to their students and try and help them progress into an IT career. So we're definitely working with the community colleges, and some of the trade schools.
That's wonderful. Now, going a little way back now to your career in the military, and you talked about working, functioning as a kind of drill sergeant. So I can't imagine a drill sergeant needing a mentor. You're such a disciplined person, but have you have you ever had a mentor?
Yes, I have. That is the mentor that I had when it's probably 2 years into my IT career, and he is a gentleman that really helped kickstart my career and took it to the next level with in IT. And even today, I believe I have an absolutely great manager, and I use him, or I use is not the right word, but he is also a mentor to me. I feel like I can learn every day from somebody. So I really look at mentoring as a plus. And as a TI, as a drill sergeant, even have mentors there from the older drill sergeants. Could latch onto them. I'll latch on to anyone that I can learn something from.
That's wonderful. I was talking to a young person today, and a lot of young people talk about, maybe they don't say it in so many words, but support, having a support network is always so important. So, how have your mentors helped you? I know you had that support right at the beginning with the family, growing up in a military family, and when, for your college, I think didn't work out, you had that support to, take a different path into the military. So, how have your mentors helped you along your career path?
Sure. It has been a good support team, along with the mentors, along with family. I've always stayed close and have bounced things off of family, but within the work environment. And when I got ready to choose the management track, for one, I was able to reach back to my mentor and see, is this get his if it was the right track for me? Am I taking the right course load? Am I getting the right check marks? I think even from a management standpoint, it's been really helpful. And even if I stepped the wrong way, I had that particular person there to tell me, Olie, you need to do this a little different. This is how you're going to really get to where you want to.
I think that's great. Young people text a lot, on average, they send about like 500 texts out a day. I'm exaggerating a bit here. But um, in a way, some of that texting and that having that kind of relationship, sometimes distant, remote, but it's a way that you could seek out mentoring. And so, what can they gain from a mentor? What can young people gain from a mentor? I know you've kind of touched on this before, but if you could just elaborate a little again for us.
Yeah, I think you can gain guidance, you can gain support, you can gain someone who to really bounce ideas off, someone who is willing to sit and listen, that can also offer you ideas. And I mean, even if it is texting or using any of the technology points today, Facebook, Instagram, think there are still ways that you can use those tools to talk to your mentors. But I think at the end of the day, they can really help you, and you don't be scared to talk to your mentor or someone that can kind of just guide you.
Yeah, yeah. Don't be scared to talk. What has been the best ever advice you've ever received from a mentor?
Not to give up, to stay focused. There's been plenty of times, we all kind of reach a wall. You feel like you want to throw your hands up and maybe go in a different direction. I start off saying I've had a number of challenges, probably, not more than everybody, but I've had some doors closed, leaving the military was very difficult for me. I found myself in a real funk because it wasn't something that I was prepared for. And that's where I really had to lean on prayer, lean on God, and um, I even had mentors in my church that really kind of prayed for me, told me not to give up, and that next opportunity would come. So I think whether it's personal or in the workplace, best advice I've had is not to give up, and that's really the best advice I can give anyone else too. Is don't give up on yourself. Don't give up on your dream.
Thank you so much. Don't give up on yourself and don't give up on your dream. Thank you again, Mr. Burton. It's been a pleasure talking to you. Over to you.
Thanks a lot, Lango. And again, really important conversation as we're thinking about how to help position upcoming generations as well as those who are already, so to speak, in the field and wanting to be successful. As we start to wind down our conversation, we sometimes go a little light near the end. So before we ask you to share with folks how they can connect with you, if you're on social media, that kind of thing, I jokingly mentioned that as we talked about you being a drill sergeant a little while ago, the images that kind of came to mind. But if you think about military people, either present or historically, both real or in cinema, is there one that stands out to you as somebody that you either kind of see yourself in or wouldn't mind being like, or kind of inspires you? Again, somebody either real or from the movies.
And this might be cliche, but I mentioned that my father was in the military, and he was enlisted, and he got to the highest rank of enlisted before he retired. He also received his bachelor's and master's and doctorate, both post-military. So I really kind of look up to him as that military person, wore really uniform really good. Became a pastor, so I really kind of fashioned myself looking at him. If I had to go to the cinema and had on that drill instructor hat, minus the language, it was bright Lou Gossett and then Full Metal Jacket at the time. I had to do a lot of changing in my life, from being a military instructor to going into industry and realizing that was not going to work.
I gotcha. And I'm telling you, there are a lot of folks who probably didn't come the drill sergeant path who could still learn that um, as they are working their way into the industry setting. What a great tribute to your father. We celebrate Father's Day in June, and so I'm hoping that he knows how you are inspired by him. If he doesn't, he will once he hears this broadcast. So that was really, really great to hear. So if people wanted to stay in touch with you, are there social media handles that you have that they can use to follow you?
I have my LinkedIn account. I don't hit the social media as much as a few others, but my email, I'm definitely available. I do respond. I do check email. It is OV, as in Victor, the number 2, BURT at gmail.com, and Olie.Burton at gdit.com. And I do respond. Very much like to hear from everyone.
That's very cool and generous of you. So LinkedIn, I'm telling you, I got to get the hang of LinkedIn. Believe it or not, my kids are there. I checked, and this is a shame to admit, but I think I have 800 messages. Don't cancel me off for the show, Ray. But yeah, we're talking about high tech, and that's just pitiful. But LinkedIn is a great resource for networking. I understand. And I think it is really great that you look forward to having people reach out to you. Give us some closing thoughts. Some what words would you leave us with? You've talked about how your father is an inspiration. Well, you are as well. So, what inspiration would you leave the audience with before we close?
Thanks, Dr. Vaughn. As I think about it, and I may have said it too many times, but it holds true, at least in my life. We're all going to be faced with challenges, obstacles, barriers. And if we keep that spirituality, we know, through those times, we're going to make it through. And by me and I mean keep your faith, stay open minded, and don't be too fearful to take on those challenges, move those barriers out of your way. There's always a door open for all of us. And I just would say, invite yourself in that door, and you will be all right.
You will be all right. Great message. Mr. Olie Burton, it's been a pleasure. And on behalf of all of us at High Tech Sunday, thank you so much for spending time with us today. Learned a lot, and we are absolutely grateful that we had the opportunity to do so. You take care.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Back to you, Brandon, to see us out.
Thank you for tuning in to this week's episode of High Tech Sunday. Career Communications Group's High Tech Sunday looks at professional development and technology through the lens of spiritual philosophies. In a time when digital information is more critical than ever, this weekly program is produced by and for CCG's community of alumni and professionals in science, technology, engineering, and math fields. The community runs from national thought leaders to aspiring students, and this weekly series aims to bring a concentrated discussion around technological advancements and achievements based on universal moral principles. The 1-hour podcast will be streamed every Sunday. The podcast can be accessed through the BEYA Facebook page, Women of Color Facebook page, and CCG YouTube page, in addition to Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Podbean, and Spotify. Please join us next time. Nominations for the 2022 BEYA STEM Conference are now open. Do you have someone in your organization who goes above and beyond? Nominate them for a 2022 BEYA STEM Conference Award. Please visit www.ccgheroes.com for more details on our nomination process. All peer-reviewed nominations are due on August 31st, 2021. All Outstanding Achievement Award nominations are due on October 1st, 2021. Again, please visit www.ccgheroes.com for more details on our nomination process.